Good evening, everybody. Being 5:30, and this council meeting will be commencing for the 19th of December 2022. Devonport City Council acknowledges and pays respects to the Palawa and Pakana people as the traditional and original owners of Lutruwita and continuing custodians of this land on which we gather. We also acknowledge and pay our respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal elders, past and present. All persons in attendance are advised that it is council policy to record council meetings in accordance with council's digital recording policy. The digital recording of this meeting will be made available to the public on council's website for a minimum period of 6 months. The meeting will also be live streamed on council's YouTube channel. And I'm sure all of you wouldn't mind, thank you for everybody in the gallery that's attending tonight, but I would like to ask for a minute's silence in relation to our Hillcrest tragedy. For the children that we lost 12 months ago, and I will say their names: Jai, Chase, Peter, Zane, Jalayla and Addison. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. Starting with the agenda, for apologies, we do have one from Councillor Ennis. Any declarations of interest?
Yes, you do, ma'am.
Thank you.
Items 4.1 and 4.2, I'll declare an interest as I am engaged in the real estate industry. I'm not named the proponents of either of those two agenda items in that capacity, nor have I been engaged by them previously. I will be staying in the room. For agenda item 4.3, I'll declare an interest in that. I have been engaged by the proponent. I will be leaving the room. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other declarations of interest? No. Thank you. Just moving forward, thank you. So 3 is procedural. 3.1, confirmation of minutes. There is a recommendation that the minutes for the meeting held on the 28th of November as previously circulated be confirmed. Do I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Councillor Vine. Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Vine?
Yeah, just all in the report procedural, ma'am.
Thank you. Councillor Martin?
Nothing more to add, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Vine, would you close?
Consider it closed.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Any against? That will be unanimous. Thank you. Item is moved. 3.2, public question time. Three 3.2.1 is responses to questions raised at prior meetings, which we don't have any. 3.2.2 is questions on notice from the public, which we don't have either. So 3.2.3, questions without notice from the public.
Right, before I start wishing, I want to wish everyone here, Alderman and Deputy Mayor and Mayor and General Manager, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. If you can say your name and address, please.
Big button?
Your name and address, please.
Right. Got to do one thing at a time. Trevor Smith, 7 Glen Court, Devonport. Dear Chairperson, I wish to submit this question. Could you please tell me, as a ratepayer of Devonport, What was the percentage wage rise that you awarded your employees for the financial year 2022-23?
I'm sure that we'll get back to you on notice. I'll let you know. 2.5.
Through you, Mayor, we'll take that on notice.
To be sure.
Strange. Right, could you please tell me when you are going to repair the pothole at the back of the Four Ways Post Office? The pothole has been there for over 6 weeks. The pothole is down to the road base and is in a poor condition. Why has it taken so long to fix such a small problem?
We'll certainly take that on notice. Thank you for bringing that to our attention for sure. And we'll get back to you on that. Thank you.
Next question. Back on the 14th of April 2021, I was sent a reply to my question from your Infrastructure and Works Manager requesting information about Council's approach to providing and maintaining the footpath network in Devonport. One of the questions was, what is the program of works for the footpaths in Glencourt off Best Street? Please provide a footpath plan of the work scheduled to be done. Reply given, the description of the scope of work order assigned to the team is replacement of 5 days of path and grinding of others, and the work is likely to occur in May. What year is the grinding of the footpaths and raised edges to start, as this reply was sent to me in April 2021?
We will need to follow that up for you.
Well, it's a long time, isn't it? It's a long time.
Thank you, Mr. City.
Yeah.
I am Christopher Mills, 52 Caroline Street. Good evening, everyone. I have 2 questions. The first is about cruise ships. After 14 years of no cruise ships, calling here, the Star Breeze arrived on the 1st of December. The vessel is a cruise ship carrying some 300 passengers. The vessel only made a 4-hour stopover here. We are all aware of the Port Master Plan, millions of dollars being spent to upgrade the port. The Port of Devonport is now being promoted as the gateway to Tasmania, and being the living city, Devonport has much to offer the tourist. The last cruise ship to visit here was the Van Gogh in 2008. Unfortunately, this vessel grounded briefly on departure, and subsequently, because of this incident, cruise ships diverted to Burnie instead. Cruise ships bring business to Devonport and put Devonport on the map. The question is, would your mayorship consider arranging a workshop for the honourable councillors to discuss with Tasports ways of promoting cruise ships to resume calling into Devonport? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. If you wouldn't mind, I can comment first of all on that, and thank you for your question. Only certain size cruise ships can actually visit into the Mersey River, as you realise from the 2008 incident, of course. And for us to change the depth of our river to accommodate all those large cruise ships that you probably see would be going into the Burnie port would be nigh impossible, unfortunately. We certainly are welcoming to any cruise ships that can fit the format and be appropriate for the size of our river, and we certainly will be welcoming cruise ships in that are appropriate. But unfortunately, we can't just change the size of the river depth for you for that to modify. For us to have a workshop on it, I need a little bit more content from you of what you want us to do any differently.
Thanks so much. That's a wonderful comment. Something to think about, perhaps.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I have a second question. This concerns backyard burning. We are all well aware of the rising cost of living, in particular the skyrocketing skyrocketing costs of energy now and next year. I am a pensioner, and with no real increase in pensions, I, and no doubt other pensioners and many others, are finding it tough. I have a small brick barbecue in my garden, seldom used. However, I need to keep expensive electricity bills under control and propose to use this barbecue for cooking purposes. It would use environmentally friendly, untreated, dry tree wood as fuel. This will burn with a minimum amount of smoke. Most likely my barbecue would need to be used on a regular basis. However, I understand that on fire ban days I would not use it at all. The question is this: as over the past 3 years, war and COVID have caused unforeseen problems for many people, would the professional staff of this council consider revising, updating the backyard burning policy adopted by council in May 2019, in particular that section which concerns the use of outdoor barbecues for cooking? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mills. We can get back to you in writing with that, if that's all right with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public gallery would like to ask any questions? No, thank you. We'll move on to 3.3 questions on notice from councillors. At the moment, thank you. 3.4 notices of motions. You don't have any at the moment. So we're moving on to 4 planning authority matters. I announce that council intends to act as a planning authority under the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 for the consideration of agenda item 4.1, 4.2 and 4.3. 4.1 is 139 Mersey Main Road, Sprayton, residential dwelling additions on page 10. Do I have a move of the recommendation there, please?
I move.
Thank you, Councillor Hollister. And a seconder, please.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Viney. Councillor Hollister.
Yes, this has been recommended for approval by our planners, and reading through the development, I can't see any further need to comply with any other things except what's in the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Viney.
Yeah, just to note, there was one representation, but I think that was covered quite clearly in the report, and I'm happy to support this application.
Any further comment from the table? No. Councillor Hollister, close, please.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. We'll say that that's unanimous. Thank you. The item is moved. 4.2 is 158 Caroline Street, East Devonport, a 47 lot subdivision on page 19. Do I have a move of the recommendation, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. And a seconder? Second. Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Martin?
Thank you, Mayor. Reading through all the information, the officers has recommended this for approval, which I agree with. It's all acceptable solutions and performance criteria. I know the landslip is mentioned as low to medium hazard, and the geotechnical engineer has advised the site can be developed to a tolerable level to avoid landslip. And also the representations suitably rezoned as general residential, or zoned as general residential, and that the location of services will be coordinated through civil engineers, Taswater and Council's infrastructure team. The developer is to maintain access to the site, and there's sufficient capacity for increased traffic in the area, as noted. Property values not a matter under the scheme, and dust and noise issues are short-term matters that are manageable as advised by the team, so I'll be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Moore, any further comment?
Yeah, I'll be supporting the motion as well. I believe that the representations, understand why people put the representations in, but I believe that they have been addressed fully by the report.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Martin to close, please.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. So we move on to 4.3, 57A. Thank you, Councillor Murphy, for leading the room. 57A, Berrigan Road, Myendetta, the 50-lot subdivision. If you have a mover, please.
I move.
Councillor Hollister, thank you. And a seconder? A second. Councillor Wilczynski, thank you. Councillor Hollister.
This is a 50-lot subdivision. I believe it was passed probably about 20 years ago, if not longer, and lapsed for quite a long period of time. It's now come back forward and it's been recommended for recommendation by our planners. There's been quite some appeals against the subdivision, but I believe it's been answered by the planning staff. Nothing further to add.
Thank you. Councillor Wilczynski.
Yes, I think it's gone through a couple of times, but it has lapsed. It's great for the area to have another 50 homes built, which with the two developments, there'll be 100 homes for the area, for our city. And yes, I believe that we've answered the people who have had concerns, so no further to add with that.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Viney.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just 20 reps is obviously a large amount, and reading through them there was, I guess, a bit of repetition in some of the concerns, but I've got faith that the report covers those concerns. And to reiterate what Councillor Wilczynski has mentioned, I think it's great with the current situation and lack of affordable housing and housing in general that this council at this time is going to put through nearly 100 new lots. Hopefully that can do something to relieve those pressures. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment from the table? I will just point out we are very aware of the environmental concerns from the public that have come through, and we appreciate them. There are certain permits that the developer will need to look at very seriously coming through, including for the burrowing crayfish that are an endangered species in the area, and we're very well aware of that. So those permits are needed to be put up, and we certainly do understand that those processes will need to go through, and we hope that they will be adhered to very strictly. So we do appreciate that. So I'll ask Councillor Hollister to close the debate. Thank you.
Question first, if I may. There was one letter talking about the connection to future southern subdivisions, which have been approved in the past also. I think the main concern was for fire, ambulance and service and the connection to get in and out of these areas. I know the ones on the southern side of Stony Rise over the years, it was appealed against to the Planning Commission, and it was actually passed that, you know, what council was saying was true. I was just wondering if there's any question as to whether these connections will be allowed in the future.
Through the chair, thanks to your question, Councillor Hollister. Certainly the developer and the proponent has worked with our infrastructure works, same on the access, and it's been determined, I guess, no requirement for an access along or provide a future access which may link to the Stony Rise Road property.
Thank you. Consider it closed.
Thank you, Councillor Hollister, and thank you, Mr. Mountain. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Unanimous, so carried. Thank you very much. We'll ask for Councillor Murphy to come back into the room, if that's... Oh, no. Thank you, there's lots of... You just check. Councillor Lewis. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Murphy, for returning. We're moving on to item 5, reports. 5.1 is standing delegation, appointment of acting general manager. Do I have a mover of the recommendation?
So moved.
Councillor Murphy, and a second. Councillor Lutchinsky, thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Merely procedural, man.
Thank you. Councillor Lutchinsky.
Is just go for.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Murphy to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour? Against? So carried. Thank you. So 5.2 is the enforcement policy. Do I have a mover of the recommendation, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Viney, and a seconder.
Second.
Oh, Councillor Moore, I think you just beat Councillor Hollister. Councillor Viney to comment.
Yeah, no problem with this one there. It's on the report and nothing further to discuss.
Thank you, Councillor Moore.
Purely procedural.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is a really good indicator of council's capacity and its commitment to transparency with respect to this came out of our internal audit review process. So I think it gives a really clear indication that the organisation itself is on the right track.
Thank you. Any further comment? No. Councillor Viney to close, please.
Consider it closed now.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? So carried. Thank you. Item 5.3 is the Devonport Mall Pavement Art Commission. Do I have a move and recommendation, please?
So moved.
Councillor Hollister, thank you. And a seconder, please.
Seconded.
Thank you. Councillor Lutchinsky. Councillor Hollister.
Yes, this is selection out of 4 different opponents, and
Councillor Hollister, just put your microphone on, please. Thank you.
yes, this was a selection of 4 different opponents that wanted to do the work. It'll be interesting to see what they actually come up with. Nothing further to add.
Thank you, Councillor Lutchinsky.
Yeah, I would just like to say that there's discussion about the pricing and maybe they can scale it because they want other work done. Maybe a good job and find money for the other works would be better than scaling down and having an average job. So it could be something to be looked at with the council.
Thank you.
So otherwise, so close.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Viney.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, just one question with the design. It does lend itself to do those impossible shapes. I didn't see it actually on the design, but is that potentially something that might go in there? Impossible ones where it looks like it's impossible to draw. Everyone's familiar with those? L-shape. Yeah.
Mr. Dobson, do you have an answer for Mr. Viney?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
The 2 artists are willing to work with council on what those geometric shapes may look like and may appear to be. I believe they wish to take their intent from buildings surrounding Devonport and the area, but we can certainly suggest the fascination of the impossible shape too.
Thank you. Happy with that answer, Councillor. Any further comment? Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Great project, I think, adding more public art in the exterior of our city to go along with the hidden art that we have throughout our city, laneways and nannies and crooks, so to speak. I do have a question, though, that's sort of relative. It's just a few curiosity more than anything else. Has there any discussion been held about the future of the mall itself? Because there has been a lot of community discussion around a road being put back in the future. And I just query it because if we're going to go to all this trouble, and I'm all for it, that we don't put a ball and chain around our ankle.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. That has been raised at the public art level. Mr Dobson or Mr Skirving might be able to answer that.
Through you, thanks, Mayor. Certainly the commission has been, I guess, scoped up with the intent of it being short-term, acknowledging that there is an ambition from the council to revisit the Rook Street Mall as the missing link, effectively between Southern Rook Street and the work that's happening with Waterfront Park, and similarly with some of the furniture items that have also been purchased in last year's capital works program to go in the mall. The intent is for those to be able to repurpose for other locations, expecting that there will be a major project considered for Rook Street Mall, but certainly a significant amount of consultation to happen with the community and key stakeholders around that project. But acknowledging that there were some works that were deferred during the COVID period for Rook Street Mall that needed to freshen up the space, and really that was required to still maintain, I guess, its atmosphere as a important part of the CBD. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thanks, Mayor. I think it's just testament to how successful and how Devonport's growing, especially in that art space, and how it's really cementing itself as the regional hub of art. I think any city that has a vibrant art scene within it, it really showcases that it is a place and it's a destination that people want to live.
Thank you. Any further comment? No? Councillor Hollister to close, please.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That would be unanimous, thank you, so carried. So we're up to 5.4, access and inclusion working group membership. Do I have a mover of the recommendation, please?
So moved.
Councillor Murphy, thank you. And a seconder, please.
Second.
Councillor Martin, thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Look, Mayor, it's all in the report there. It's pleasing to see that this particular working group will be a valuable sounding board and something for council to most definitely listen to moving forward. And it's good to see that we've got so much community interest.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. The Access and Inclusion Working Group is a great group. I met with them the first time, and I think these people from their background certainly will add something to the discussion and the betterment of Devonport. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment? No, I'd just like to point out it's a valuable committee that we've got. I'm very proud of it, and what we've already done and how much work we've accomplished just in the 9 months we've been together. It's been pretty incredible, so I'm really looking forward to us moving forward. Nice to have another new member on board as well. So another mind to give us a lot more information and opinion, which is very, very much appreciated. So thank you. So Councillor Murphy?
Consider it closed, Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? So carried. Thank you. So 5.5, naming of public notice.
So moved, option 2.
Councillor Murphy,
I
thank you.
would like to ask some questions, please.
Well, we need a seconder first.
Second.
Councillor Moore, thank you. We'll just go through the process first. Thank you. Councillor Murphy, to comment, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just encourage my councillors that realistically this shouldn't be that difficult. We've been through a rather extensive process on 2 occasions now. I think there's some significance with respect to the Haynes name being associated with this particular area. Realistically, there doesn't need to be a lot of debate about this. Let's just move on.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I like the connection with Haynes to the place. I think it has a real connection to the place and the name. And yeah, I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Wilkins.
Yeah, I've got a few questions. And first up, I apologise. I wasn't at the working committee on Monday night. I was just out of hospital. But will this go back to public consultation? What if we vote and what we vote on tonight?
No, the vote tonight is for the name.
Okay, then if the 2 names which are before us tonight, Cocker and Haynes, were they included in the list of suggestions from the public consultation?
One of them was, one of them wasn't.
Okay. And why did we look at only 2 names again? wouldn't that put it back into Councillor Martin's idea that he didn't agree with just having a couple of items on offer?
There was extensive consultation at the workshop, unfortunately, which you missed. We actually had 4 names, and I wanted it to come down to 2 so that we could just make a decision tonight. We had 4 tonight, we could have ended up anywhere, so we needed 2 to get this park named.
I'd like to make a suggestion that it should be a terrace, not a park, as it is set up like a terrace, soft ground and hard ground, grass and cement, it is layered, and I don't know, do I have to make a suggestion or a motion to say that it should be a terrace?
Just bear with me for a moment. So we'll ask you to put up as an amendment so that you're asking the first and seconder to amend their motion. At the moment it's to endorse Haynes Park. So you're wanting the amendment to say that to endorse it as Haynes Terrace?
Well, I think the historical name should have been Lyons, and that was the,
We're not.
I know, we've passed that one now. It should be terrace, it's got a little bit more character than a park. It is terraced, it is structurally that way, and I think that gives a little bit more class to the area.
So you're asking them to say terrace as an amendment?
Yes.
So the mover and the seconder have to agree to that. Councillor Murphy?
Point of order. Mayor, I'm unclear if Councillor Shinji is moving an amendment. If so, the amendment should be that Haynes Park become Haynes Terrace, and she would need a seconder for that amendment.
Yeah, that's correct, Mayor. So it's either get agreement from the mover and the seconder, or ask Councillor Fulczynski to move an amendment.
Yeah, so I'm
in which
going.
case you need a second on that.
Mention amendment.
I'm just asking advice from my general manager if everyone doesn't mind.
My advice, Mayor, given that the mover and the seconder have already spoken, is that should Councillor Fulczynski look to change it, she should move an amendment, in which case she'll need someone to second that amendment. Or she'll need to clarify what the amendment is, and then see if someone will second it.
Okay, clarification is that I would like to make an amendment on the naming of that area, and as I can't have Lyons Terrace, which I think it should be, I'm happy
You
to.
could move that amendment. If you wanted to move the amendment to be Lyons Terrace, that's up to you, but you need a second.
I'd like to move it that it's Lyons Terrace.
So we need a seconder of that. Do we have a second? We don't have a second, unfortunately.
Should have been at that meeting, shouldn't I?
Sorry. Thank you. So we're currently still with the current motion.
Can I have Haynes Terrace? Can I move the amendment to be Haynes
The
Terrace?
second amendment? Yes, into a second amendment.
Amendment to endorse Haynes Terrace.
We need a seconder of that. Do we have a seconder for Haynes Terrace?
Well, let it be park, and we park on it.
Okay. Any further comment? Any questions? Councillor Martin?
Thank you, Mayor. As we know, I asked for a review of the names, and we've moved on from that. It was about gaining support for an independent community committee, including or youth advisory group. The cross-section of the community can name the park. Previously, we did this with the naming of the Crown Apple Centre, which we did have a cross-section of the community, including a representative of the First Nation, and I believe a young person in that committee as well. I make mention of that because there wasn't any support for that independent committee to look at naming the park. As council were now to have a decision tonight, names were put forward, including Anna Cocker by myself. because there was nowhere else to go, so I put the name up, including William Holloman Park, for linking, Annie Cocker linked the city because she was born in Sprayton, worked in Torquay and taught in Formby, and of course has strong links with our regional galleries, some of Annie's works.
Councillor Mann, are we talking to Haynes Park?
Leading up to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. The two names that have been put, it certainly tells us that Devonport has more chapters and more stories to tell about where we are, our sense of belonging, and where we're sort of going at the same time. So I think both names are credible, and even though I did put up that Annie Cocker's name, I also conducted a quick community poll with the majority of the replies being Haynes Park. So we'll honour that poll in this vote.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. Any further comment from the table? Councillor Viney.
Just very briefly, Mayor, thank you. I really hate looking at this east-west orientated map. I need to get that out there. But yeah, just I think in due respect to the original motion and the original decision that was put to the last meeting, that the entire area is the waterfront precinct, so I think we tick off on that the Lions tribute is still in there, and I would hope to see that become more prominent with signage and increase the exposure of the Lions' contribution to Tasmania and Australia. But I'm quite comfortable with the two options, and I'll be happy to support Haynes Park and its relation to that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment from the table? No. Councillor Moon. Sorry, Councillor Hollister. Do apologise.
I actually came forward with Haynes Park from a historical point of view that Harry Haynes, as he was known, if not Coffee Haynes, that whole block was virtually his business. He had his hardware store there, he had his kilns for drying timber, he had a workshop, and then there were stacks of timber all over the actual block. The only part that wasn't covered by his business was actually where motors was, and whoever was there before motors. So historically, I think Haynes has got to be the name. Nothing further in.
Thank you. Any further from anybody from the table? If not, Councillor Murphy, you are allowed to close the debate.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a long journey. Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? One against. So we'll need a show of hands, please. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor Murphy, Councillor Martin, Councillor Hollister, Councillor Viney, Councillor Moore, Councillor Shannon, Councillor Jarman, and against? Councillor Latinsky. Thank you. So carried. Moving on to 6 for information. 6.1 is workshops and briefing sessions held since the last meeting.
So moved.
Please. Thank you, Councillor Murphy. And a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Viney. Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Extremely busy period, Mayor. The workshop that we held in the 12th of December, very exciting. A lot of information there. Looking forward to moving forward the proper consultation process and endorsement of the Living Well strategy, the wealth and well-being. Oh, well. I just had some things. And obviously the park naming, which took up a lot of time, and proposal for the ferry now, which we believe has now gone into a private entity's hands, and we'll see what happens in that space. So yeah, quite a lot on the discussion table at that last workshop.
Thank you. Councillor Viney.
Yeah, it was an excellent workshop, and I'm certainly getting a lot out of it. And it's great to be informed with all the things that are heading our way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment? I'd just like to say thank you to all the councillors. You've hit the ground running, you certainly have, and there's been a lot thrown at you in a very short amount of time. So I'm very proud of how you've all reacted to that, and I think I'm really looking forward to working with you all in the new year. So thank you, Councillor Murphy, to close.
Consider it closed, Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? So carried. Thank you. 6.2, there's monthly report. Do Do I have a mover, please, of the recommendation?
Moved.
Thank you, councillor.
Second.
Councillor Murphy, councillor Sheen.
Yes, look, another action-packed.
You just need your microphone on.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I'll get the hang of that microphone eventually. Another very full month. I can see that you're absolutely pouring in the hours to this role and you should be commended. I'd particularly like to note the service for the Hillcrest on Thursday. I thought that was particularly well done. I know that was done in liaison with the stakeholders in the Hillcrest community, but I just wanted to note I thought that was a beautiful service, really sensibly done, and I thought you did it very well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you to all the staff that were involved. We can't do without our amazing staff who make us all look good. Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with Deputy Mayor Sheen with respect to you really have jammed it in a very short space of time. It's extremely heavy schedule. Just a couple of things there for noting as well. The tour of the Bleed Village. I happened to attend that with you as part of the opportunity whilst we were in Hobart at the Gap. And very exciting. Looking forward to hopefully getting this across the line with Tick Letter and what that'll bring to that particular precinct at the Haymaker Centre. Very exciting. They do a fantastic job. I was very impressed with that. And the opening of the new business down there on Formby Road, the Funeral Collective, it was good to see something new and something different again in Devonport. So obviously the place is kicking some goals and you're doing an extremely good job. Well done.
Thank you. Any further comment? No. Deputy Mayor Sheen to close.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? So carried. Thank you. 6.3, the General Manager's report. If I can have a move of the recommendation.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. And a seconder.
Seconded.
Councillor Hollister. Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the GM's got to be commended with what he was able to achieve whilst we went through COVID. So well done.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister.
It's all in the report, nothing further to add.
Thank you. Any further comment? Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. I noticed that the General Manager met with the consultants undertaking community engagement with the North West Hospital's master plan. Did you gain any knowledge in regards to what the Mersey Hospital has installed for it?
Yes, through you, Mayor. It was just an opportunity to meet with the consultants. They were focused on the infrastructure side of it. I guess I made the point that I think the majority of people around here are probably more focused on what the services are, and quality services is probably the priority. We certainly need the infrastructure to support that. I got the impression that the government has certainly committed to spending some serious money on those three sites over the next 20 years. We'll wait and see when the plan is released, which I think is expected early 23.
Thank you. One other question, if I may. I noticed there's a feasibility study into the beach ocean pool. The question is that a priority in the sports infrastructure master plan?
Through you there. No, it's not. That actually came out of it's one of Council's annual plan actions. So it was a motion that Council adopted a year or two ago, and Councillor Ennis put forward that motion, and it's been put in as an annual plan action. Staff are currently working through that feasibility and we'll bring it back to Council next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment? No. Councillor Murphy, close, please.
Consider it closed, Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? So carried. 6.4, the Development and Health Services Report. If I can have a move of the recommendation, please.
So moved.
Councillor Hollister, thank you. And a second?
Second.
Councillor Murphy, thank you. Councillor Hollister.
This report shows all the local government acts and state parliamentary acts that councils have to deal with. So it's a good place to see just how much our staff have to actually deal with. especially with planning. Nothing further to add.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
In procedure.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions? No. Councillor Hollister, closed, please.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? So carried. Thank you. 6.5, infrastructure and works report. We have a mover of the recommendations there. And includes endorsing the allocation.
So moved.
As well. Councillor Murphy.
Second.
Councillor Martin. Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Yeah, look, this is a fairly important one with respect to moving forward with the Gateway project. So obviously that needs to be sort of added into the 22-23 CapEx budget. So looking forward to, it's very exciting what that's actually going to do for the entry of Devonport. It's actually going to improve it a fair bit. So looking forward to that getting off the ground and we start work there, especially with all the work now going on with the Keeling project. So yeah, it's all there for everyone to read.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Endorse the movers' comments as well as just highlight the other allocation for the Don Hall heating, which is of course very important. Don Hall's very old building, and of course during winter it does get cold. The cricket pitch widening of Bio Park and Maidstone Park. But query that, are our bowlers getting a little bit more wayward this time of year, or is it because they need a wider pitch? Or
I don't know.
I just sort of query that. And of course, importantly, Coles Beach access and viewing platform and the Devonport General Cemetery. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comment, please? Yes. Councillor Shen.
Thank you, Mayor. Unfortunately, I didn't get to the workshop last week and didn't get to speak to the Coles Beach access and viewing platform. I've had a conversation with the General Manager since, and the feedback was that while my comments regarding locals not necessarily being that keen on the viewing platform were noted by fellow councillors, it was considered that the beach is for everyone, not just the people that live there. But I would make the point that that is precisely why I raised my concerns regarding the viewing platform. I've lived there since the 70s, since North Street was a gravel track, and I know a lot of the families that live there take a great deal of pride in the natural, undeveloped environment that is Coles Beach, which directly contrasts with the bluff. And I know that as the built environment of the city grows over the next couple of decades, having a pristine, undeveloped beach a short drive from the CBD is going to be a major marker in our livability rating for the city, not just for the locals that live there. I inspected the track as I normally do on the weekend a couple of days ago. It is, for anyone who hasn't been there, a sandy track about 10 metres long, stretching from the steps down from the car park to the beach. I appreciate fully, you don't need to explain to me that there are indemnity issues here that need to be addressed. Someone had a fall, I get that. But I do believe, as do many of the locals that have lived there for decades, that this sort of major piece of infrastructure, a galvanised steel walkway and viewing platform, is overkill. I think there are more gentler solutions. And in closing, I'd simply request of my fellow councillors and the administration team, who I deeply respect your work. I look forward to working with you on the design resolution, but I draw everyone's attention to the vision of the Living City Master Plan, and one of those main visions was that we live lightly on the landscape and protect and preserve our coastal and beach environment. And I really do hope that the solution that we eventually land on for this is not of the scale that is currently suggested. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We might offer that when a design is drawn up, we might have a look at that.
That would be really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further comment? No? Councillor Murphy, close.
Thanks, Mayor. I can understand where Deputy Mayor Sheen's coming from. I also missed the gun club from that precinct too, but anyway.
It has a lot of history there.
It does, yeah, it does have a lot of history, and obviously that was a very well utilised facility back in the day. Having said that, consider it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? So carried, thank you. Item 7 is the section 23, which we have nothing to discuss. So we're moving on into the closed session.
So moved.
I can have a mover and a second by Councillor Murphy. And second, Councillor Martin, thank you. Any comment?
Muted, Stephen.
Councillor Martin?
No comment.
Any further comment? I think Councillor Murphy having closed that.
Consider it closed.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? So, thank you. To the public gallery, can I just wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year, and we will see you in 2023. Thank you very much, and thank you for attending tonight.